Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG tabletop video. This time we're going to do a conquest against our friend Noah. For those of you that don't know what a conquest is, both of us have selected 3 decks and we're going to play a best of 5, and the winner has to win with each deck once. So once you win with a deck, you can't play it again, and we're just going to start off by deciding what deck we're playing. I've got Regidrago, Lost Box, and Charizard to choose from. Noah's got Raging Bolt, Lugia, and Gardevoir. And our first matchup ends up being Lugia versus Regidrago. Noah kicks off the game in typical Lugia fashion by flipping tails on Mesagoza, attaching to his weird ear and passing over the turn. Hey, I can't judge. Regidrago does that a lot too, so we feel for him here. We immediately flip heads on his Mesagoza, rub salt in the wound there a little bit. We check out our prize cards. Something to note is that we actually prized 2 energy switch, so it's going to be really hard to get especially that first attack off. We end up getting Ogerpon off that Mesagoza. We maybe could have got Squawkabilly there, but I didn't really want to put Squawkabilly into play. I felt like the Cleffa might get knocked out, and then maybe Iron Hands could kill the Squawkabilly later for 3 prizes, and I really didn't like that. So over to Noah's turn. He's got a research. Don't worry, he's going to be able to play the game, although he is kind of 1 turn behind. He gets a Lugia down, and you can't see it because of the glare, but he Ultra Balled away an Archeops, so he's got 1 piece of the puzzle, and he's thinking about killing this Cleffa. He decides not to. I definitely agree with this decision. It gives me access to Pheasantipity, which just makes it a little too easy for me to knock out that Lugia V on the bench. I debate flipping my V-Star here to try and aggressively target down this Lugia. The only piece I'm currently missing in my hand is I think it's the energy switch actually, and we prize 2 of them, so I decide I'm not going to flip the V-Star going for the energy switch. I figure it's just too likely that I whiff the energy switch, waste my V-Star, and then feel bad about it for the rest of the game, so we just decide to take a passive approach. We Ultra Ball for another Drago, and then we just Cleffa back up to 7. We're hoping Noah doesn't get the double Archeops out this turn. Maybe he just knocks out the Cleffa. That'd be super great. We love to see the Iono. Pretty much anything that isn't boss's orders here is going to be good for us. It means Noah's only going to be taking 1 prize card. I guess he could use Iron Hands here, but we'd be pretty happy to see an Iron Hands come down here, clog up his board even more. Looks like he is going to have access to the double Archeops this turn. He's just going to play his hand down to basically 0 here. I think his 1 card in hand is going to be like a Cincino for next turn, and then he'll bench the little guy. Yep, there's the big one. And he's just going to Summoning Star, get out some Archeops, and it'll be interesting to see if he decides to kill this Cleffa or not. I think he probably has to kill the Cleffa. His 1 card in hand is just Cincino, so if he doesn't kill the Cleffa, I could just Cleffa again, which would be really bad for him. He couldn't capitalize and might just have to kill the Cleffa on the next turn anyway, so I like this. Apply some pressure, make me do something, and I definitely am going to do something. Got a fresh hand, 2 energies on my Drago. Something to note is that I'm not playing Temple of Sinnoh, so there's going to be a lot of problems as this game goes on. Mist energy, V-Guard energy, Legacy energy. I'm just going to have to give them all a bunch of value, so it's going to be really annoying. We go ahead, Ultra Ball for Goodra. My thought process here is that if I kind of put some chip damage onto this Weird Ear, and then Noah maybe comes in with the Cincino, I can knock the Cincino and Weird Ear out at the same time and remove all threats to my Regidragos for the rest of the game. So what I'm thinking here is going to go Goodra on the Weird Ear, and in the moment I'm thinking I'm going to Dragapult next turn, killing the Cincino and the Weird Ear, but that Weird Ear actually has a Mist energy, so we're going to have to figure that one out later. Something else that could have been okay here is maybe going for I didn't love a Lost Impact, honestly. I just felt like if I Lost Impacted and Noah benched another Cincino, I'd be pretty annoyed, so I think I'm just going to go for something conservative here. I think maybe Dragapult would have been better here as well. I could have put 30 damage onto the Lugia V-Star. That way I could still knock it out with a Lost Impact later on, but we're going to see how that comes up later, that this Lugia, eventually it gets a Mist energy, and then it's really, really annoying for me to deal with. So we'll go for the Goodra, force out, I think it's a 6 energy Cincino Noah needs, so we're going to be wasting a bunch of his energies, which was kind of the idea here. He'd have to retreat, use Cincino. Maybe if I used Pult here, Noah would have been able to just attack with the Weird Ear, and then that way it would have been a little more annoying for me. I would have had to have a boss's orders in order to bring in the Cincino, so maybe the Gudra isn't terrible in this spot, but we get knocked out just like we were kind of anticipating would happen. And we're going to be looking to make a big play here. Well, I say a big play. Really, we're just going to be knocking out the Cincino and the Weirdeer here. We also don't want to bench a bunch of frail Pokemon, right? You'll notice our board right now is just a Drago and Ogerpon. So as long as we don't bench like any more Ogerpons or Fez or anything, which we have no reason to do so, it's going to give Noah a really hard time winning the game. We've played him into a position where he's really never going to be killing this Regidrago V-Star in one hit for the rest of the game. And of course he can kill the Ogerpon, but that's not enough to win the game. So we end up finding the E-Switch, which is what we really needed. We can go ahead, V-Star, bring it back. A little bit annoying that we have to V-Star here, but with 2 energy switches prized, we're just never making this play without the V-Star. So I definitely felt like at the start of the turn, I was going to flip my V-Star, and I was okay with that. So we are about to go to the Polt, and then we realize that there's a missed energy on the Weirdeer, so we have to adapt here. We actually end up using Dragon Laser here to pick up the KO on the Weirdeer. This attack can be surprisingly relevant. I'll have another video coming out where I prize my Dragapult in a game, and I end up using Dragon Laser. So I've actually been using Dragon Laser way too often recently. This deck continues to surprise me. So we Dragon Laser, we take out the Weirdeer, we go down to 4 prizes, and the idea here was on the next turn I was going to bring in the Lumineon, Pult, put some damage on the Lugia, and then kill the Lugia, but the problem, of course, is that Noah has another missed energy. I literally gave him this Lugia deck, but I forgot that there's 3 missed energies in it, so a little bit of a blunder on my part. I'm sure we probably could have found an opportunity to Phantom Dive it earlier on in the game. The current iteration of the list I'm playing doesn't play Hawlucha. If it played Hawlucha, what I could have done here is I could bring in the Lumineon, Pult, put 3 on each of the chops, and then I could go for Hawlucha, cure him both the chops on the follow-up turn, but not playing the Hawlucha, so I can't do that. I don't play Sinnoh, so I can't get through this Lugia, meaning I kind of have no route to take my 4 prizes into attacks, and Noah, of course, is going to be able to do just that, is take his last knockout in 2 attacks. We try to think of everything. Can we lost impact and then Phantom Dive? Nope, can't do that. There's a missed energy. We're thinking about like killing an Archeops. We're thinking about Dragapulting the Lugia, put 6 on the Lumineon, and then cure them, both of them. But because the V-Guard energy happens twice, that's not enough damage either. We end up sitting here thinking about it for a long time. Noah and I have a good chat about our game. And then eventually I just decide to bench a couple of guys. My logic here is that in order to win the game, I need to stop Noah from winning in 2 attacks. So I need to soak a hit with this Regidrago V-Star, set up another Regidrago V-Star, retreat, take another hit. But of course, he just has boss's orders. He's playing Lugia. There's a million ways to find boss. And he actually lets me know here that he was running out of energies. And if I just 2-shot the Lugia with Gudra, just benched nothing, 2-shot it with Gudra, his Archeops wouldn't have done enough damage to knock me out. So I think I kind of let this one slip. Wasn't paying enough attention. I definitely thought he still had access to the Blood Moon. I can't believe I sat here for multiple minutes and never even looked at his discard pile once. Little lesson to all you guys out there that it's very important to be looking at your opponent's discard, because sometimes they're going to randomly run out of resources and you need to be paying attention. But anyways, we need to lock in. Getting into our second game, we're going to have an interesting one here. We're going to have Gardevoir versus Charizard, and Noah's playing a Gardevoir build with TM Devolution, which is really going to change the dynamic of the game. Since I lost game 1, I get to go first in this game, which I actually wasn't 100% confident about. I felt like going second might be a little bit better. He's relying on TM Evolution, but at the same time, I was hoping maybe he wouldn't start Klefki or Spiritomb, and then I would get to use Rotom, which would be really nice. But either way, my goal here on turn 2 is to just make a Pidgeot. I'm not necessarily looking to make a Charizard, and Noah starts off strong, just Arven, TM Evo, Poffin. Super solid, ideal Gardevoir turn 1, gets 2 Curlias into play. And just like I mentioned, we're going to kick off our turn with our own ideal play, setting up our draw engine. We're going to get out that Pidgeot. We go ahead, check our prizes, and at this point we realize we actually prized Charmeleon and double rare candy. And so when your opponent is playing TM Devolution and you are playing a rare candy deck with only 2 rare candies and no stage 1s, that is definitely very stressful. So Immediately, I'm thinking that I want to be popping Dusclops as aggressively as possible to take prize cards, find rare candies. I want to be taking knockouts as quickly as possible. I also am thinking that I play a jamming tower, so I want to put a jamming tower in play as quickly as possible. Try to block that TM Devo, mitigate the damage it can do. We go ahead, set up our board a little bit, get a Dusclops going, and we just pass off the turn. We'd love to have had a Rotom to draw 3, but this Klefki start really annoying for us. We get the Dusclops out because we want to get into Dusknoir to take prizes, but we don't want to use rare candy to do so, so that's definitely a nice part of our setup. Noah plays an Iono, which is great for us. I'm not sure what we had in hand, but clearly we didn't really have much, so we love to see a fresh set of 6 cards. We're really hoping Noah just doesn't attack here and just kind of does nothing. We really don't want to see him Scream Tail or Pidgeot, for example. It just puts a lot of pressure on our draw engine. It'd be really easy for him to Scream Tail it this turn for 120, and then on the next turn he could Scream Tail it again for 160, and we'd be in a lot of trouble. Or he could Scream Tail it for 120 or even 80, and then use TM Devolution to pick up the free knockout later. So lots of scary things that can go on here, but it looks like Noah's actually eyeing down the Fluttermane. I think this is a little bit of a mistake. I think this kind of opens up a couple opportunities for me. He's going to take a knockout on the Charmander, which I don't particularly care about. Additionally, he's going to give me access to Pheasantipity, Countercatcher, so a lot of cool things I can do on this turn if I can get a good hand. I think my favorite thing to do here would be Dusknoir the Kirlia and then use Charizard to kill the Guardy. Yeah, that seems really good, but we'll have to see what I can actually do. We can also, of course, just use this Dusclops to knock out the Fluttermane, take a prize card, hopefully find some of our rare candies, maybe our Charmeleon. That way we can set up more Charizards, be a little resilient to TM Devolution. We're also looking to find Jamming Tower here. Now, we are playing the Secret Box Charizard, so I think we probably have access to it. We could probably just quick search for the Secret Box, for the Jamming Tower, a bunch of other useful stuff here. We decide to Dusclops first. We want to know if we can draw a rare candy off prize, right? That might change the way we play out the rest of our cards. So we start off with the Dusclops, gather that information, and now it looks like we're just going to be Ultra Balling for our Charizard. We had the other rare candy in hand. Now we are completely out of rare candies, so that is definitely a little scary. I assume we're going to see a Jamming Tower come into play here. And of course, I'm going to go for that Boss's Orders on the Gardevoir EX. Just looking to aggressively draw prize cards, try to find my rare candies. Now, if I didn't prize my rare candies, I think I would have killed this Gardevoir anyways, but I think if I didn't prize any candies, I would actually not have used Dusclops on the Fluttermane. I would have just tried to save my Dusclops to maybe become a Dusknoir, kill Kirlias later. I don't really care about that Fluttermane, so I think that's kind of how my gameplay changed here because of my prizes. Also, I decided to put a bunch of fire energies on my Pheasantipity. In hindsight, I don't know if this was actually a good idea, but the idea was that if I didn't draw any rare candies off prize, and my Charizard died to a Drifloon, or maybe I got hit by a TM Devolution, I could actually attack with the Pheasantipity on the next turn, whatever his attack name is, shoot a Kirlia, draw a prize, hopefully that prize is a rare candy, get a Charizard, go from there, but a little bit of a spoiler, that's not really going to end up happening. These energies are just kind of going to be awkwardly trapped on the Pheasantipity for the majority of the game. But under different circumstances, maybe I could have used its attack. I still don't know what it's called. Cruel Arrow, I think is what it's called. Anyways, over to Noah's turn. Looks like he's really struggling. Looks going pretty slowly here. I think he wants to go for some kind of TM Devolution, but he's being blocked by the Jamming Tower. Yeah, okay, it looks like he's just going to send it. He's just going to try an Unfair Stamp into a Stadium Bump. He countercatches the Charmander. That's pretty good. I'm really low on fire energies. If he finds a Stadium Bump here, I think I would actually lose the game. I have maybe one rare candy in my deck. I would lose my Pidgeot. I'd have a bunch of energies in awkward places. But he whiffs, and so we get to keep our Charizard, we get to keep our Pidgeot, and I think he's just going to end up going for a Joust here. Onto our turn. We'd love to kill the Kirlia with a Boss's Orders, but we have very limited options in our hand. Of course, we just got unfair stamped, so I'm pretty sure all my cards are just terrible. I quick search for fire energy just to retreat into Charizard and attack. We go down to 2 prizes, which is nice. We threaten to win in 1 attack with a Briar potentially, or like a Dusknoir plus knockout, or maybe just a knockout on the Gardevoir EX. A couple different ways we can win the game next turn. Imagine from Noah's perspective here, he's going to be looking to replace the Jamming Tower, potentially knock out Pidgeot with Drifloon, I think would probably be his best play, or he could kill the Charizard. No, I think definitely just like try to kill a Pidgeot here is the way to go, but he just draws completely nothing off this Iono. No Gardevoir EX, no Drifloon. We never saw the Pheasantipede come into play, so his draw power is significantly limited. Both of his Gardevoirs were actually on the top of his deck there. That's really annoying. Even if he just found a Gardevoir, he could have gone for the Monkey Dory attack, which would have been moderately annoying. Okay, and then we just go ahead, Arven, Sealstone, Candy, Dusknoir, take a prize, Charizard, take our last prize, and close out the game. So a little bit of a scary one with the rare candies being prized, but we dodge the TM Devolution and get the win. Now that we're down to just 2 decks each, it gets a little bit interesting. Of course, I don't want to play Regidrago into Raging Bolt, and I don't want to play Lost Box into Gardevoir either. The Gardevoir deck has a Flutter Mane in it, so I think I would get destroyed. It's a bit of a mind game here. I think he's going to pick Raging Bolt because I'm going to play Regidrago. I love Regidrago. Of course I'm going to pick Regidrago. So I go with the Lost Box deck and we get the good matchup. We get Lost Box into Raging Bolt. Overall, I feel pretty confident in this matchup. Lost Box can use 1 prize attackers at the start of the game and then transition into one-shotting Raging Bolt. I feel like Raging Bolt has to put down a bunch of 2 prize Pokemon, so I feel in control as the Lost Box deck. But when we start the game, I open Blood Moon, and even worse than opening Blood Moon, I actually don't open a single way to retreat it, so we're going to be giving up 2 prizes on turn 1 to the Slitherwing, as long as Noah's able to get an attack. So in this spot, we're pretty much just hoping Noah doesn't get the attack off. We put down 4 Comfies. There's nothing else we really want in this matchup. We're not playing the Radiant Greninja. That would be the only other kind of support Pokemon we'd want to get in there. And Noah wastes no time. He's already got the Professor Sada's Vitality. He lets me know that I shouldn't worry because he doesn't have a Fighting Energy in hand, and then he just immediately draws the Fighting Energy and knocks me out. So thanks for that, Noah, just knocking out my Blood Moon on turn 1. He's going to go up 2 prizes. Now, I am a little bit hopeful. His board looks pretty terrible. He doesn't have any Raging Bolts or Ogre Pawns, but I also think Noah is completely capable here of having a bunch of Raging Bolts and Ogre Pawns and just not putting them down, right? Just wanting to, like, protect his board. He knows that I don't play really any hand disruption effects, so if he had like a Raging Bolt, a Switch Card, an Ogre Pawn, there'd really be no reason for him to put it down. But I am cautiously optimistic. The Slithering has 90 damage. If we can get a Cram attack off here, we can take it out. Noah will have to set up his Radiant Greninja. Maybe he doesn't attack for multiple turns and then we somehow randomly win. But the other thing that is terrible is that we actually end up passing here. We don't even get the Cram knockout on the Slitherwing, but what I was going to say is that we also prized our Roxanne, which is really our only comeback mechanic. So at this point, we are down so bad in the prize trade. What we're really going to be looking to do here is draw Roxanne off the prizes, and then at some point, just like bring up Radiant Greninja, play Roxanne, and then start Sableye spamming the bench and hope Noah just like draw passes for like several turns. So Noah's going to knock out our Comfy with Bolt. He's going to go to 3 prizes. Now, what we're going to be looking to do here is just like kill this Bolt, take some prize cards so that we don't need to Sableye as long in the end game. And then also we're going to need to hit Roxanne off the prizes. So we know we need to knock out this Raging Bolt. We go ahead, get down the Pikachu right away. We use Flower Selecting to get up to 7 in the Lost Zone. And then I actually continue to use Flower Selecting here. I have Double Gate in hand, but I'm trying to draw into an energy here so that I can save one of my gates, right? If I draw an energy, I can attach it to the Pikachu, play a gate, save the other one. Now, in hindsight, I don't really know that I need to be saving my gates. The plan at this point is just to Sableye, so I don't really know what we're going to need that last gate for, but anyways, I end up whiffing, and then as I play my Double Gate, I end up realizing that I actually don't have a Lightning Energy in my deck, so a little bit awkward there. No, you didn't see that. Don't worry there. And then we switch it up. We get the proper energies in play. We play our Super Rod. We retreat into the Pikachu, and we blow up the Raging Bolt. And we do draw Roxanne off the prizes there, so we have a slither of hope in this game still, but Noah's going to expand his bench, get a bunch of different Pokemon in play. Presumably, we're going to get knocked out by this Slitherwing. We are hoping he has to knock himself out with the Slitherwing. Of course, if he gets a Bravery Charm, he won't have to knock himself out. Switch Cart also works. That is an out off of the Roxanne, so we like to see him use a Switch Cart. And now we're just going to go for the Sableye play. Oh, the Sableye was actually also prized, so good thing we have the Heavy Ball. Get that out. I think we're still looking for a Psychic Energy. We waste that Buddy Poffin. Go for the Roxanne here. And I guess we also still need to find our Prime Catcher. There it is. There's a Prime Catcher. Okay, we keep Comfying. And I think I just saw the Psychic Energy there. So just debating what Pokemon is the best one to stall. I end up deciding on the Radiant Greninja as opposed to like the Pheasantipity. So we can actually damage the Pheasantipity while it's on the bench. But Noah just draws an energy. Pretty standard. He goes ahead, shows me all the outs in his deck. It's basically his entire deck was out. So can't blame him for drawing the energy there and winning the game. Now that Noah's down to just his Gardevoir deck, we had a decision between playing Lost Box or Regidrago first. Now, the way I made this decision was that in this game, we get to choose to go first, so I'm going to pick Lost Box. I feel worse about my Lost Box into Gardevoir matchup. I'm pretty confident that if I can win this game, I'll win the last one with Regidrago, but we're going to have to get this one through with Lost Box. Now, I mentioned this a little earlier on in the video, but what makes this matchup so bad is that Noah plays Fluttermane and Klefki, so once those Pokemon get into the active, we can't use Flower Selecting. Additionally, the Fluttermane can attack, so he can like knock out our Pokemon with Fluttermane and leave us in a really terrible spot. So we're going to need to get some cards in the Lost Zone before Noah puts Klefki or Fluttermane in the active. We have a solid start here. We're going to get some Comfy activations off, but one thing I noticed when I was doing my prize check is that I actually prized Iron Hands this game, which is usually the core strategy to kind of combat the Fluttermane and the Klefki, right? If you have an Iron Hands in the active, it's taking extra prize cards. Your opponent can't afford to just sit there with a Klefki or a Fluttermane. They have to use like Drifloon or Gardevoir or something that can't die to the Iron Hands. So without that, Noah's kind of just going to be able to shove Fluttermane in the active, not be under a lot of pressure. My Cramorant can't knock out the Fluttermane because it has the ability gets shut off. My Sableye, well, we're a long ways away from Sableye. We need to get to 10 in the zone for that. Something else you'll notice is that on turn 1, I Pokestopped, and then I used the Lost Vacuum in my hand to get rid of it. In hindsight, maybe I should have just kept the Pokestop in play, but I really wanted to pump my Lost Zone. I thought it was very likely that I might get Iono'd, so I decided to just vacuum the Pokestop. On to Noah's turn, it looks like he's having a pretty solid start. Gets to use the Radiant Greninja and Arven. Arven gets Nest Ball instead of Poffin. Oh, but he just has the Poffin in hand. We don't see a Klefki, so I actually assume that the Klefki is prized here, and just some Maralds coming down, a retreat into the Fluttermane and a pass. You'll notice he prioritized getting the Fluttermane in the active over using TM Evolution. I think that's very much so a good idea. And I'm really stuck here without a Colress in hand. You notice I've milled 2 Colresses with Pokestop. There's not really much I can do. I used Boss to bring up the Ralts. That at least is going to let me Flower Selecting one more time, but I have no Switch Carts. I have no energies. I really would have liked to have gotten to 7 in the zone, or 8 maybe. That would get me 1 Colress away from Sableye, but not much going on my side of the board. The one thing we have going for us is that Noah can't actually attack this turn. He's not playing Rare Candies, so we feel a little bit good about that. And then when he evolves this active Ralts into Curlia, we know he can't retreat that, so we're going to get 1 more turn of abilities at least. So we have a little bit of life in this game. Noah's just going to take the turn to Arven, set up his board, get Unfair Stamp into his hand. That's super threatening. If I come in with Cramorant and take this prize card, I'm going to get Unfair Stamped. And Lost Box does not do very well against an Unfair Stamp and a Fluttermane, so I'm feeling a little bit nervous. We have to Lost Zone Roxanne here off of this Flower Selecting because the other card was Hisuian Heavy Ball. We use a Metal Energy to retreat into the other Comfy, get to 7 in the Lost Zone. Once we have 7, we can get this Iron Hands out of the prizes, place some Mirage Gates, get some energies onto the Iron Hands. Now, the crappy thing about this situation is I actually think that I don't have a switch in my hand, so I can't even use Iron Hands to knock out this Curlia. If I could, I would actually feel kind of okay about this spot. I would kind of force Noah to do something that isn't Flutter Mane. If he'd send up Flutter Mane, then I would just amp it again. So I would get some more abilities. I would get to continue playing the game, but I just don't have a switch here. So I have to pass it back again. At least now we have this Iron Hands on the bench. Noah's board is kind of awkwardly set up, so I think it'll be okay. Our Iron Hands can't get knocked out by Scream Tail. That would be really bad. I imagine he's just going to go ahead and like attack with Flutter Mane, maybe knock out our Comfy. Yep, we see the Gardevoir EX at the top of his hand, so that should guarantee some kind of attack. And we're going to get started into this slow starting game. It's actually a boss's orders onto Cramorant. Okay, that is super strange to me. I guess he knows that I don't really have any way to retreat in my hand, so he might be figuring that this just buys him a free turn. I think I would have liked to have seen Noah boss in the Iron Hands on this turn and just punch it with Gardevoir EX for 190. That way it'd just be a little easier to knock out on the next turn with Flutter Mane. I think that'd be a little bit stronger, but he's just going to go ahead and put 10 on the hands like this. This 10 damage is super significant because now an attack from Gardevoir EX and then a Monkey Dory ping can take the knockout, so we are fairly worried here. We also don't play Iron Bundle in this iteration of the list. I think that card would put in a lot of work here, especially since he prized the Klefki. He only has the Flutter Mane. We can use the bundle, activate our abilities, but of course we do not have the bundle. Additionally, the Artisan would stay in play the whole game, so we would always have reliable access to it. But we're just going to see the unfair stamp from Noah. He's going to put us down to 2 cards. Likely punch with the Gardevoir EX, and what we really need to find on this turn is Prime Catcher. I mean, I guess we could also like Pal Pad Boss and then Boss, but that seems unlikely. So if we find Prime Catcher on this turn, I think we are still alive in this game. We can go down to 2 prizes, but if we don't find Prime Catcher and we just have to arm press this Gardevoir for 160, the game is basically just going to end on the spot. We see the 3 energies come into play and the Miracle Force, putting our Iron Hands up to 200 damage. That's the Monkey Dory ability away from death, which we hate to see. Now we get a little bit of life. We get a Colress, and then I actually think we Colress into the Prime Catcher there. That's pretty insane. So we're going to be able to take 2 prizes this turn. The only thing that could make this better is if we could also use Switch Cart to heal our Iron Hands. That would be amazing. That way we're protecting ourselves from Monkey Dory. But the problem with this is we're going to Prime Catcher. We're going to kill something. That's great. But then on the next turn, Noah presumably is going to come in with Flutter Mane again, maybe play an Iono, and put us to a low hand size, deactivate all of our abilities, knock out our Iron Hands, and we're going to be still in rough shape. We do get the Sableye powered up though, which is nice. Even if our Iron Hands goes down and like a Comfy and our Cramorant, we're going to be able to attack. So if we can get off back-to-back Sableye attacks on the next 2 turns, I think we can win this game. So we're just going to go ahead, Pal Pad back our Colrusses, anticipating an Iono from Noah. Hopefully we can draw one of those Colrusses off of the Iono and then chain it together into some kind of cool play. We're going to go for the Thank you very much, and we're down to 2 prizes. So we'll see what Noah can do here. Looks like he's doing exactly what I was talking about, the Flutter Mane, the Monkey Dory, and then there's the Iono there. My hand goes to the bottom of the deck. He's going to go ahead and use his Refinement and then use Monkey Dory to knock out the Iron Hands. We see the Counter Catcher at the top of his hand, so that's going to take out our Sableye as well. Pretty brutal, actually. This is going to let him go down to 2 prizes. It also removed all of our attackers. And he's even got the Bravery Charm onto that Flutter Mane. That way, if I somehow get the Sableye back this turn, I can't win, right? Otherwise, that Flutter Mane would have 30 HP. I could Sableye like the Flutter Mane and the Manaphy for my last 2 prizes. But we draw a pretty pitiful 3 cards here. Nothing useful going on here. And Noah's, I think, actually just going to close out the game here with some kind of like double monkey shenanigans from what I remember. Yep, there's the Turo, picking up the guy, double monkey, knockout, and then Flutter Mane KOs the Comfy and wins the game. So we're going to end up losing this series to Noah 3-1, but if you guys made it this far into the video, let me know in the comment section down below what kind of content you want to see next, what decks you want to see, what matchups you want to see, if you want more guides, more tabletop content. Let me know. I'm always looking for your guys' feedback. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.